Think about this. You only ever feel abandoned by people who you have offered something meaningful to. Your vulnerability, your trust, your tenderness, your intimacy, essentially your depth. A person who you didn't offer anything valuable to, who you didn't offer your depth to, you probably simply casually connected with or casually helped, can't make you feel abandoned. They can make you feel betrayed, yes, but abandonment is the queen of all betrayals. It's the final betrayal. It's someone saying, "You showed me parts of you, deep and raw. You gave me that privilege of honesty, absolute honesty, and surrender, and now I'm gonna walk away from it like it meant nothing. I'm okay with never knowing again whether you're alive or dead or never hearing from you again." People who live on the surface, people who have superficial connections, they don't get abandoned. Problem is when you feel compelled to offer depth all the time and you feel compelled to receive it in return. You don't yet understand the rules of the world. Don't get me wrong, the world disappoints and betrays everyone, but it only brutally discards people when they see too much. It may worship them as a memory, as history, as a myth, but while these people are around, they are always indigestible. So I know that no one has ever told you this, and I know that they have said other things to you to explain your feeling of abandonment throughout your life. Oh, you expect too much. You aren't an easy person to be with. You aren't chill. You're a very complicated person. That's simply how people are. You're just overthinking. But there is a truth that is almost never said, and nobody will say it to you because saying it means admitting weakness, and that's why I want to say it to you. There is very limited amount of contradiction, darkness, discomfort, a very limited amount of truth that a human being can allow themselves to be aware of before they start unraveling, before they start losing their minds. Most people feel comfortable in, want, and prefer shallow waters. For this very reason, they live in this kind of a twilight zone where they know they have chosen willful blindness toward several aspects of their being, their life, and their relationships, and everything. And they keep pushing down the parts of themselves that they don't want to see deeper and deeper within their psyche. They become uncomfortable, even violent, when it feels like someone might force them to see something that they are not ready to see, that they are not willing to see. Not because it's a lie, but because it might shatter their sense of identity, which is extremely fragile. They create fragments within themselves, and one fragment chooses willful amnesia towards the actions of another fragment. But here's the catch: one of the only times when people become willing to see more, when people actively seek out depth, is when they are truly deeply hurt. They are wounded. They have failed publicly. A relationship that they based their life on didn't work out. An unexpected tragedy, an ugly, shameful form of pain that isolates them, a misfortune that isn't cute. During such times, the world rejects them too. It avoids them, and they want someone to see them. They want someone to validate them. They want someone to witness and stay with their pain and not flinch. Therefore, they want depth, but only insofar as it gives them relief. But then Time passes, the pain, the betrayal, the wound they are feeling eases a bit, not because it is resolved, but because they were finally able to push it deep down into the nether region of their mind again. Life gave them something new, a new job, a new partner. So their pain hadn't really made them a deeper person, it was just bigger than usual. So this time it took longer for them to push it down. But now it's gone again into the vast terrain of the collective human amnesia. And they were able to do it without resentment because they had you to witness their suffering. But guess who the loudest reminder of that unintegrated and buried darkness is now? You. The very person whose depth they used to validate while they were in the thick of suffering, now becomes the greatest reminder that they suffered. They are ready now again to tread shallow waters. They are ready to get out of the fringes of the world. They are ready to join its mainstream. They are ready to live a normal life again, like the whole world lives. Shove, push, forget, repeat. They are finally ready to be where the party is. Sometimes it's just regular people, not all of them are villains. Sometimes it's just people who don't know what they are doing genuinely. You get close to them when they are in pain or they are alone, and it is real when it happens. But the pain they were in subsides, or they are finally able to push it down, and now your depth feels heavy. They don't want to have to deal with it anymore. They don't want to have to feel uncomfortable things anymore. Sometimes it's people who feel seen by your depth and who enjoy being seen by your depth, but they don't want the obligation of providing what it requires to sustain. So it's your regular selfish asshole, applies to both men and women. Your intensity is cool as long as it doesn't require anything of them. But sometimes also it's predators, very, very vile people who are in pain, but they come with smiles, asking, begging to be seen, begging for you to give them the depth that you may otherwise not have, because a part of them knows you can see their wounds, but they also know that you don't know enough about the external world and therefore you can be manipulated. This taking feels violent because your depth and your ignorance has been used against you to extract something from you that you wouldn't have given. And in the end, there are the ones who had always known they didn't want to deal with your depth, and they were also careful in not taking from it since they knew they weren't going to give anything back. They realized very early on you were going to be too much. While I do respect the integrity to not take from someone you know you have no intentions of giving anything back to, or you cannot give anything back to, for you, it still leads to the same destination, that is loneliness. Now, the classic Pinterest line that I kind of find a little cringe, but it applies. The fact isn't just that they abandoned you, the fact that you learned very early on in life to abandon yourself because you saw too much and everyone around you made you feel weird for seeing too much. They made you feel embarrassed, they made you feel slightly broken, slightly unusual, humiliated you sometimes, shunned you sometimes. They taught you to be ashamed of your intensity in exactly the same way that people are taught early on to be ashamed of their sexuality. And that teaching came in various forms through punishment, through mocking, through humiliation, through isolation, through violence. The idea that your depth and your intensity or your capacity to see more makes you unacceptable. It makes you broken. So you risked punishment, you risked violence, and you risked something as a child that the child fears the most, which is isolation. So you set off on a mission to compartmentalize your depth, to treat it like an extremely dirty, hideous part of yourself. You even develop shame around it. Why can't I just be chill? Why can't I just be easygoing like him or her? Why can't I be effortless as at this game that everyone around me seems so good at? The constant denial of who you are turns into long standing depression, anxiety, several other forms of mental perversions that are actually simply methods of coping because you have taken on a Herculean task of running away from yourself all your life. The insight, the energy, the intensity in your being isn't being directed at something constructive, something creative, something beautiful. It is being suppressed and denied. Now it becomes rage. It becomes chronic depression. It becomes never ending loops of anxiety, causing more shame, leading to a greater feeling of what the hell is wrong with me. The cycle of shame ultimately becomes alcoholism, addiction, eating disorders. There is an endless pool of possibilities to spiral into. And guess what? By this time, you have long forgotten the original cause of your disorder, your depth, your intensity, your insight that is wrapped in shame, denied, suppressed, and hated. But all this thing, the insight within you, it never stopped longing to be expressed. Even with all the years of shame, all the years of hatred, it always wanted to come out, to go somewhere. So, guess what happens now? Someone enters your life who, for the first time, acts like your depth is not a shameful thing. They act like it's a fucking miracle. In fact, they fucking love it. They use it, so it's useful. They even admire it sometimes. All this depth, longing to be expressed and released for all these years, and finally, here is your golden chance. You lose all your discretion and you pour into them more and more. You don't ask, is this person capable? Does he or she have the strength to hold what I'm giving? What if this person is a predator? What if he or she is simply using me? What if they are weaponizing my empathy and depth against me? What if they are simply passing time until life lets them back in? What if life gives him or her a little opening and then they want to leave immediately? There's no way in hell at that time you are asking yourself these questions, because for you, in that position, this person, this friend, this whoever they come into your life as is a savior, your redemption arc, your only chance to express all parts of yourself that you have always known somewhere are beautiful, but they are locked away in this deep shame. So I will tell you this because no one told me, and no one will probably tell you either. Most people will not be able to consistently meet you at your depth or intensity. A lot of them who come to you and persuade you to share the same depth with them might be predators. A lot of them are just people who normally don't live where you live, but they have just come for a visit because they feel wronged by the world momentarily. A lot of them will be afraid and uncomfortable around your intensity, and a lot of them will straight up not like it. But I also need to tell you that the same intensity and depth will attract people who are like you. People who come to you not to take from you, but to have a shared experience with you, to see you and to be fully seen by you, without shame, with love, with admiration, even. People who sometimes may not even be comfortable at that depth, but they still want to coexist with you in the same space without wanting to take anything from you. Less frequent, but possible. And I want you to know your job isn't looking for or filtering through people, it is to get rid of your acquired shame. Discernment will follow. Own your depth because it's a blessing, it's a superpower. It is what most people do not have because they choose to not have it because it takes a lot of strength to have it. Most people look but they cannot see and you can. So be proud, hone your vision, express what you see in whichever form you can. When depth has nowhere to go, it becomes poison, it becomes rage, it becomes depression. So learn to flaunt your vision like the world flaunts its blindness. This is what I want to tell you because nobody ever told me people are scared, they are shit scared, and especially people who they think see more scared them even further. There is so much ache in the world around unresolved abandonment. If you only knew most of the times how poor these people are who want to run away from things that they think they cannot handle, they are aware that they cannot give you anything that you really want or deserve, you would pity them, you wouldn't hate them, and you would certainly not pity yourself.